know, you think of Social Security. I think when it started, it was based on.
How you doing, Adrian?
Good to go.
Thank you. I want the camera. I want to see it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's meeting, and I'd like to ask you to join us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank you very much, and bear with me just 1 minute while I turn my phone off. We won't be disturbed. Thank you. So everyone had a chance to look at the agenda for today? If so, the chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
All in favor of the agenda for today, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Everyone had a chance to look at the minutes from the previous meeting?
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Well, let's first get a motion on the floor. Chair. Stevie,
Yeah.
so you made a motion. All in favor of the minutes of the previous meeting, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Let the record show it was unanimously approved, and Sarah, we turn it over to you for public comments. First of all, any public comments from the floor?
From the room, yeah.
Yeah.
Any public comments? Nope.
No.
And there were no public
Well,
comments submitted online.
Okay, good. All right, now we can entertain the director's report.
Okay. Ryan, if you could be so kind as to turn the PowerPoint presentation on. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, he's got to go to the back to turn it on. So
It'll make-
I'll just kind of preface what I'm going to talk about with saying, I have plagiarized the general counsel of the State Board of Elections with these updates. Every other week, the state board has a huddle where they provide pertinent updates and training to county staff. And so this was presented on May 14th from Paul Cox, the general counsel at the State Board of Elections. And I just thought it was so concise and thorough that I copied it and I'm presenting it to you today.
It's called
Okay.
citing.
Yes,
You
there
did
you go.
not plagiarize,
Not
cited
plagiarize.
directly
He does
from
say that we
his-
can use it. So I didn't try to put it into my own words. I just copied his. So I'll go through this. If you have questions, I will do my best to answer them. And if I don't know the answer, I'll get it for you. And my clicker's not working, Ryan. In the back still. We're learning. It's a new system.
Okay.
Oh, okay. We got it. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I think the board is aware of where we are with the Griffin protest, but I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. That ultimately that election has been certified. Allison Riggs has been sworn in. The federal court ultimately agreed with the conclusion of the state board, stating that it violates due process to change the results of an election after the election has taken place. Griffin did end up conceding and therefore essentially stating he's not going to pursue any further appeals with that. So that election has been decided. The state Supreme Court election has been decided.
Okay.
With that said, the state board has shared with us some things that came out of the court's rulings on this. And so I want to share this with you. I do not have the slightest idea how we're going to put these into practice. That's going to be up to the state board to tell us, but I did want to make you aware of some changes. Moving forward, any UOCAVA voters, and again, UOCAVA is the federal legislation that deals with military and overseas voters. UOCAVA voters are going to be required to show photo ID like any other voter. The caveat there is that's only going to apply to state contests. So hopefully the military or overseas voter will be able to provide us with a valid photo identification or an exception form. If they do not provide the photo ID documentation that's required of them, and they don't cure that deficiency, the contests on the ballot would not all be able to be counted if they're both federal and state contests. They would only be counted for federal contests. So I think this would be a situation where we would be duplicating ballots similar to what we do with provisional ballots, where we duplicate it for a partial count. So
A question.
yes,
Did they say, did the State Board of Elections say why it only applies to state content?
it was in the court's ruling. So I don't know the answer to that. And I have not read all of the rulings that came down from the courts yet. They're quite lengthy. So this is the summary that the state gave us, and I do not know what the reasoning is for that. I'm thinking there might be some federal legislation that differs from what the state legislation or the state rules will be, but I can't say for certain. And another change is going to be regarding the never resident UOCAVA voters. So these are the civilian voters who are living overseas who have never resided in North Carolina. Maybe they're the child of a resident of North Carolina. Maybe they were born overseas, any kind of reasons that could be the case. So Moving forward, the never resident Uocava voter, they are only going to be eligible to register and vote in federal contests, not state and local contests. Again, I have no idea how we're going to put this into practice. Once the registration is received and once we have to provide a ballot to these individuals, that's going to be up to the State Board of Elections to provide us with information for. But I did want to make you aware that those are two pretty significant changes that came out of this litigation process for the Supreme Court contest. Okay. Another piece of litigation that has been ongoing for quite some time is the board appointment litigation. As of right now, the appointment powers are not with the governor of North Carolina, they're with the state auditor. The governor has appealed that to the Supreme Court of North Carolina, but there's not been any timeline for when that will be heard. So I say all that to say this is still a pending case that is being litigated in the court. So I don't know what the ultimate outcome will be, but as of right now, the auditor has the appointment powers. The auditor did make appointments at the state board level. And then the plans for right now are the county board chairs will be appointed on June 24th in conjunction with the State Board of Elections appointing the remaining county board members. The state parties are currently working with the county parties to get the list of recommendations for the board appointments. The nominees will be asked by the party to fill out an application so that the state can ensure they meet the qualifications. And then the state's going to make all of those appointments and the auditor will make the appointment of the chair on June 24th. And then just
That's pending litigation.
well, that's how it's going to be unless the courts give us other guidance in the meantime.
Okay.
Yes.
Be interesting if the court decides to reverse things. They've sworn in state board, they would replace them with a different board.
Yes. So I did just put a slide in here with all of that information. The State Board of Elections did issue a press release, but on May 7th, state board members were sworn in and a new chair was elected and a new secretary. And along with that, the new sitting state board did appoint an executive director, Sam Hayes, who began his tenure on May 15th. I don't know much more beyond that. We have not heard from the state board about this beyond what their press release said. So we haven't heard anything from the state board about changes that might be taking place. So we're just kind of waiting to see what happens there. There is ongoing litigation for same-day registration. This is something I haven't been briefing the board on, but I did think it was important to note. So there are cases going through the court system still. One of them has been settled. And what that does is, if you recall, last year we started the process where if someone does a same-day registration and their mail comes back undeliverable, we have to do a cure process to try to confirm that that voter is a resident of the address that they provided. That was really put into place as a temporary solution based on this litigation, but that process now stands. So we will continue to do the cure process for same-day registration voters that failed the mail verification process. So it's not really giving us anything new to do. We're just going to continue doing what we implemented last year. And then there's another case still proceeding. Again, I think anytime there's litigation, it's hard for me to say definitively what it's going to look like until it's over. So this could change as well.
Well, even then, so like, they change afterwards.
Yes, then they could change after. So that was just a few updates that I got from the State Board of Elections that I wanted to provide you.
Has there been any comments on all of the names that don't have driver's license or birth certificates?
No, we haven't received any guidance on that. I do know that we are going to be required to do something to cure that, to complete those registrations, but the State Board of Elections has not come out with any guidance for the counties to start with that.
I would think the
Just
state.
have to change, all ladies have to change our names back to what we were born with in order to vote, apparently.
What was your question, Stuart?
I would think the state's the one that has to do all of that, not us.
I think that they're going to have the counties handle those registrations that are in their county. I don't think the state will do that because the number is much larger than those that were involved in the election protest. Because the election protests only include voters that voted early and voters that voted absentee by mail. There were no election day voters included in that list. So there are more registrations than was, reported that are missing that information.
Duplicates in there, that type of thing too.
I'm sorry,
There's a number of duplicates in there that are obviously duplicates.
of voters, likely so. Because if we don't have those numbers, that's one of the things we use to identify duplicates.
Yeah, I thought I saw something, maybe 2,000 in Brunswick County.
I'm not sure.
But whatever we do, I don't know, Ryan, I don't know if I'm on or not. But I have no light, but whatever we do would be at the direction of the state board.
Yes.
We would not be responsible, you
No.
and or this. board.
It would be a uniform process for every county in the state, meaning that until they tell us what to do, I'm not going to go out and start identifying voters who have incomplete registrations or telling them what to do to fix it.
Yeah.
Now, voters, of course, have reached out since this protest has been ongoing because their name was on the list asking how to remedy that. And we provide direction for how they can update their voter registration to get those numbers included. So if voters reach out proactively and ask us, we can certainly provide information about how they can get those numbers on their record. Mhm.
Then the state board has not given us any,
No, they have not. No.
it seems to me, and we, 5 months away from the next election.
Mhm.
starting. It seems to me that we need to, begin the process of telling people what my understanding of the last, court decision is that we're gonna count you this time. But if you don't get your registrations properly cured before the coming election, you will not be able to vote.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't remember seeing that as part of the outcome in the courts, that somebody would not be eligible to vote if they didn't cure
Well,
that.
Put it this way, what I was told recently is that their vote would not count in the upcoming election because you have been it's like we forewarned you
Okay.
that you have to update and cure your faulty registration.
Okay.
I think the past State Board of Elections has said that they weren't going to fix that.
Well, the courts have said that it has to be fixed.
Right.
So
Right, so,
we're going to have to do something to
Right.
remedy that.
but I think the names that are a problem almost has to come from the state. We aren't going to be very successful at searching that database. The
Yes.
state's going to have to tell us what names.
Mhm.
Um,
And
And it appears from what I've read that the state had a problem figuring out what those names were. Somebody else that knows what they are, but state apparently doesn't. Anyway,
What the people were that did not have a driver's license number or a social security number on their record, I would think that's a pretty easy query to run on their part. Because I've seen lists
Right.
shared before where people have
Well,
publicly requested those from the
what I've
state.
seen is that there was a challenge to the state board.
Mhm.
They refused to do anything. And then they destroyed all of the information that was provided to them on all the duplicate names. Then they went back to the person that filed that and asked her to provide those names again, and she told them that she couldn't, that it wasn't legal to make gifts to the state board.
I don't know anything about that. So I can't answer that. I wasn't part of those conversations.
That's been part of Carol Snow's thing and We the People. Her crusade. If you would.
Yes.
I guess I just think it's incumbent upon the state board to get us some direction ASAP. We've got to get it. We've got to inform the public.
Mhm.
If you're in that list, these are the things you must do. Then we
Mhm.
have to execute those things that they must do.
Well, they have a whole new board, 2 weeks ago, so
Yes.
At least it's not a presidential election year. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Any other comments
I don't have anything else.
on the board?
No,
I have no comment on this topic, no.
Okay. Okay, should we go to old business or was that?
There
basically
were,
old
there
business?
were no items under old business or new business for this.
Okay. Randy, you have a comment on another item?
I just, in the interest of being open and forthright, I have written to Sarah expressing my concerns relative to the amount of growth going on, at least in the southern part of the county. I know the northern part is the same.
It-
And having to try to get ahead of the process. It's certainly something that I think we need to proactively address going, on a going forward basis. Certainly nothing we're gonna cure today.
Especially since they cut that $125,000 from our budget. That's gonna help. They cut $125,000 from the Board of Election budget. right
Oh,
there.
yeah.
We did get
Well-
some of that back in
Oh,
in the
did?
recommended budget. so.
Good, good.
So, yeah, exactly. You know, if we're gonna grow the precincts, and what is the number that the state has? Somewhere around 2,500 per precinct, isn't there?
I don't think the state gives guidance on that. That was many years ago that they would want you to have a cap on the number
Yeah.
of voters in a
Well,
precinct.
even if it's 2,000 or 3,000 per precinct, you know,
That's a lot.
I look at, there's one development going on in my neighborhood or across from 17, that's gonna be 3,000 plus living units. That's 6,000 voters in one development, which is partially in Longwood, partially in, I guess it's one of the old shingle trees. I don't even know what that is. But it literally going from Route 904 all the way to P Landing Road. And, you know, the only place we have to vote is open cornfields, or what used to be open cornfields. So I think it's just on a going forward basis. I think it's something we need to be proactively working on and looking at. So,
We have the same thing. We have a
It-
5,000 unit
yeah.
place.
I mean, it's-
Brunswick Forest has
But-
10,000 expected.
But, you know, what that does, to Paula's comment, is it generates the requirements to have additional voting equipment for every new precinct, additional poll workers. You know, we were somewhere between 450 and 500 poll workers for this last election.
Mhm.
And going forward, you know, we're going to be 500 to 750, somewhere in that ballpark. And I think it's a major effort. It's a major expense. I know that I have expressed to some of the commissioners offline that, you know, it's a lot of money and they understand that. But they also are quick to tell me that they're looking at trying to keep their budgets under control too. So,
But I don't get they have growth, so that means they're having more income. So
right.
I don't get
So-
they need more money, they're getting more money.
Well,
automatically.
I just wanted to share that with you guys, so you knew what I had asked Sarah to at least be aware of anyway. Thank you.
Okay, I do need to backtrack. I got so excited about our discussion with legal updates that I forgot something that was on my director's report.
Mhm.
I just wanted to let you all know that the county recently recognized Adrienne for hitting her 10 years with the county mark.
Oh, that's why she,
They did send her a nice certificate
oh,
Yeah.
signed by the county manager and the chair of the county commissioners that she'll be able to hang on her wall. So I wanted to make sure that you all knew that we're getting more tenure with our staff, and I think that's really excellent that people are coming and staying.
congrats.
Congratulations. And I also
And
noticed.
I think if I should say congrats.
I will make note of the fact that the staff as it exists today was not there in August of 2014,
Mm-mm.
except for one individual.
Mhm.
So, you know, it's your staff.
Mhm.
We thank you for your hard work and your effort.
Yeah.
No,
I
when
started in October of 13.
I apologize. You know, I'm sorry, Melissa. You,
Hired me in October of 13.
Oh, how about that?
I'm lucky I can remember what I had for lunch. Wait a minute.
Good
Yep,
recovery.
Randy, that's me. I got it. Sorry, Melissa.
I,
I thought you'd come in after that. I apologize. Well, anyway, there are two. But
I'd like to.
You're still
also-
part of Sarah's staff,
Yeah, okay.
heart and soul.
I'd like to, I received an email that the staff had done outstanding in exercise program. You all been exercising?
Oh, my goodness. Yes, the,
Wait, you mean like
Come on.
exercise?
so the county risk management, they send out a monthly newsletter and they often give like a challenge or something to try to get employees to be healthy or take care of themselves. And so they did a fitness challenge. I don't really think it was specific, but Kathy in our office took the lead and said, hey, let's track our steps and try to walk more. And everybody in the office participated. So for nearly a month, we all tracked our steps and turned that into the county risk management and were recognized in the county newsletter for participation.
All right,
Yes, that was fun.
very good. Thank you. Pardon me, thank you very much. Anything else?
You read those things, huh?
Yes. Anything else? Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, with that, entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Thank you.
I'm always like looking to put my name in for some of that free furniture they're going away. I
No,
give giving away all the
yeah.
time. I saw stuff from your office.
Yes, Brian's been cleaning out.
I was like,
Cleaning out.
said, I need another file cabinet.
Yeah, we did some more space in the warehouse and he's been able to really shift some things
You
around
got more space.
in the warehouse.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
So you give me
I
a
don't
call.
know that it's like what we need in the end.